Okay, this week's parsha is Parshat Zachor. No, the parsha that we read is this. We bring out two Torah, Terumah, and the second one is Zachor. Which one is more important? Zachor. Because we know the Shabbat, like this Shabbat, Jerusalem actually, this is maybe Bli Neder, if I have time I'll give a shir on it Thursday night. But this year in Jerusalem, they celebrate Purim 3 days. It's Purim Meshulash. So Rav David Yosef in his Sefer, Torah HaMoadim, says it doesn't matter. Always the week before Purim we read Zachor. So even in a circumstance where Shushan Purim falls on Shabbat itself, so maybe it's better to read it in Jerusalem. Hine Matov U'Mana'im, you're reading it the day that is really Shushan Purim. It says no. Always, under all circumstances, even if Shushan Purim or Purim, whatever, falls on Shabbat, we always do Zachor the week before. Now, according to the Shulchan Aruch, Maran, Rabbi Yosef Karo, and many of the Rishonim, this is one of the 613 commandments. So same way that we have to wear tefillin, same way we have to fast on Yom Kippur, one of the 613 commandments is what? To listen to Parsha Zachor. So, and it's not enough to just say, I remember Amalek. You have to, because it says in the Torah, Katuv beSefer. Hashem tells Moshe, write it in a Sefer. What's Sefer? Sefer Torah. So you have to read it from a kosher Sefer Torah, and that's why it's most appropriate to use the most beautiful Sefer Torah, written by the best sofer with the most beautiful writing, so chas v'shalom, God forbid it doesn't have any mistakes in it. The Shaliach Tzibur should be extraordinarily careful to review Parshat Zachor to make sure that he pronounces every word correctly and he announces all the ta'amim correctly, because this is we know every week that we bring out the Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu told us. It's not one of the 613 commandments to bring out the Sefer Torah and read from it. But this one time is the exception. This is actually a Torah law to listen to Zachor. That's why the Shulchan Aruch says a fascinating thing. He says, if you have, let's say somebody, he's a farmer. Not Old MacDonald, but Old McDavid or Old McDaniel. They live in the middle of nowhere, and only one Shabbat they can take off and leave their field and come. Should they come Kippur, Rosh Hashanah? The answer is they should come Parshat Zachor. Because the Kippur they can do b'yachid. They could blow the shofar b'yachid. But this, you need 10 people to bring out the Sefer Torah and read it with a minyan. So it's very important that everybody should attend. And it says, Ra'ui ben achon she'asher sipur hakoreh b'Torah Parshat Zachor. So he says, it's most appropriate that the person reading the Torah should say that I am your messenger to fulfill one of the 613 commandments. And what's the commandment? The commandment is that we always have to, God says, we never should forget. Just like we should never forget the Holocaust, because history already repeats itself. The fight between good and evil, midor ledor, it says in the Torah. Every generation has its own Haman. Like we had Haman, then we had Ahmadinejad, and now Khamenei. Unfortunately, every generation has its own Amalek and Haman. So we have to remember that since if the Jews are the light of the world, like the prophet Yeshaya says, these people are what? They're anti-God. They're anti-light. So we have to annihilate them. We have to get rid of them, just like Mordechai and Esther did. If we read in the Megillah at the end, they were able to kill many of the enemies of the Jews. And there's a concept said mitzvot tzarichit kavana. We Jews shouldn't be a robot. So therefore, since it's such a special Shabbat, the person reading the Torah should announce that this is a special Shabbat. I specifically want to be your messenger to fulfill the mitzvah. And then really the whole congregation should also have kavanah, say yes, we want to be yotze, and it would be wonderful midat chasidut to say the leshem yichud. But this is an exception. Rav Avadia, he's saying it. Usually when we read the Sefer Torah, it's okay for us to repeat after the Shaliach Sibur. But Parshat Zachor, the only person that should be saying the words is the person reading from the Torah. We shouldn't mumble under our thing the words, because the Torah says besefer. It has to be written from a sefer. So therefore, serichim lishtok. Everybody needs to be absolutely quiet, not say the words in an undertone, in a whisper, like you could do on other parshas and parts of the Torah, and to read listen very, very carefully to what the Torah Tenu HaKedusha, what the congregant is saying, what the